Hi everyone and welcome back to Newcastle Fans TV. So today we're going to be talking about the youth system at Newcastle United and our opinions on it. So I'll start off with Sharkey. It's not great, is it?
It's not at all. I mean, we've been to a lot of reserve games this season. Me and Lee can echo that. I think it's been disappointing. We've only won one game in 11 and we're slowly creeping down that tip. I say we're creeping down. We're pretty much at the bottom of the league, really. Is it the Premier League 2? And that's like the second division of the reserve league. And I think it's very worrying because if you want to progress a good first team, and if you want that to progress on to the next level and maybe get them better, you've got to be able to do well in your academy, progressing for the academy onto the reserves, and then try and blood them into the first team. And there's not enough happening of that at the moment. And if they are doing all right, maybe have a sniff of the first team, they're getting sent out on loan and you never see them again. You know, you see players like, you know, Adam Armstrong. You know, Sammy Anyobi had that a couple of times and eventually he's gone off to Bolton. And I think for me it's something that has to change.
Yeah. Obviously we've talked the takeover, I'll go back to that. You know, if we look at the likes of, you know, Man City, they build their players off, then they sell them, they're like kind of like that selling club. And, you know, it looks at like Southampton. If we had that investment not only in our first team but the academy as well, could we become like a Southampton club for academies?
I don't see why not. But, you know, we've got the ownership of Mike Ashley there. That's a problem. He's not putting money at the club, and the club suffers. Not just the playing side, it's the whole lot. It's the facilities. And if we had better facilities, like, yes, we're not asking to be Manchester City, but they're leading the way. Why can't we at least have half of that? I've been there, and myself, it looks absolutely unreal. It's jealous of it because it's world class, and they've even, you know, the likes of Everton put out youngsters. I know they're struggling, but they're not scared to. Newcastle at some point have to look at it when the new board comes in and plough the money into it. They've got to for new facilities. Kids these days are rather play on the PlayStation 4 and play FIFA rather than go out and kicking a ball. When I was young, and I was 13 to all the way till probably 17, 18, I was playing football 10 o'clock at night. It was the best years of my life. Absolutely loved it. How many kids are doing that now? If you play football in the street, you get told off and clear off. It's so, I think the numbers are smaller and smaller, and it's getting harder and harder to push youngsters through.
Would you agree with that? Would you agree that it's the opportunities because of the likes of social media and games and consoles and things like that?
Yeah, I think it's a massive problem. I think we need to do more in terms of trying to give them an opportunity to get them into maybe the academy, try and work with them a bit more, give them a bit more education like what they do at Manchester City, because, you know, they have a system down at their academy where, you know, they'll have education, they'll teach them, you know, things that they must improve in the game, you know, even like things off the pitch like the diet and stuff, what you must be eating, how you sleep and whatnot. And I think that's massively important. I'm not saying Newcastle probably don't do that, but I think we lack so much as a club. You know, we're like a category A, like, you know, academy, and we're just lacking behind other clubs. I mean, you could put Sunderland in there as well. You know, they've got a really good academy, and, you know, they're working better academy. You know, I can say that as a rival. You know, they're working hard with the players that they've got. But for me, it's very frustrating because, you know, you want to be able to have another Shearer lookalike, you know, at Newcastle. You know, someone who you can rely on and think, oh, you know, he's come through the academy, you know, as a local lad. Exactly. You know, it's you want someone like that. Okay, Shearer did go to other clubs before coming back to Newcastle eventually, but it's all about
Michael Carrick's another one.
Yeah, Michael Carrick. You know, that it's a shame really because Newcastle has that potential to grow youngsters and get them to play for Newcastle and play in front of 52,000 fans. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? You know, week in, week out, playing in front of the fans that we have. You know, especially at away games as well. That must be added motivation anyway. You know, you don't have to feel motivated to play for Newcastle to know what the club's about. And I think it's something that this new board has to look at, and I think it's going to have to be the main thing. It's not all about spending £50 million there, £50 million there, £50 million there. It's all about looking at the deeper problems, which is is bringing the kids through.
Well, if we look at the fact of, you know, kids spending too much time on consoles, etc., and not getting the opportunities that we've got, the academy which Dwight Gale, Paul Dummett, Rob Elliott set up, and the foundation. So there is opportunities there, but is it the fact of just the kids aren't bothered anymore? Like, you know, it used to be, oh, I want to be a footballer, I want to get all that money that they've got and all that, but nobody really seems bothered anymore. It's all social media. I think
it's still there. I think when you're growing up and you still want to be a footballer, you're still in school and you're still pretending to be Alan Shearer or when I was young it was Peter Beardsley and David Ginola. You always pretend I'm going to be David Ginola, Bogsy Ginola, and all that. And I still think that goes on in school kids grounds. Does that make sense? School grounds. I just think that there's less numbers now, and it's harder for them to come through. Even more so now because the Premier League is so global. You know, managers are scared. Yes, Everton, Southampton, Liverpool to some extent are playing the youngsters. Liverpool are showing the way. They'll probably be the biggest side, along with Man United, have chucked in a couple of youngsters in there.
West Ham are starting to go back because they used to lead the way and then they kind of dropped off a bit.
Aye. But, you know, you look at the under-23s now and you think, is it Peter Beardsley? Is it because the money's not getting ploughed in? Is it because Rafa can't put them in because it's the Premier League? I think it's a mixture of the few there. I'm sure everyone at home will say there's a few bits and bobs more, but you look at that under-23s and you ask yourself the question, who's got the future there? And there's probably only two names for me.
What do you think about looking at the likes of Germany and Spain for inspiration on how they run their academies?
Yeah, I think you've got to look at that as well, because, you know, you've got to look at the German Bundesliga. You know, they've got a lot of young talent. They're not scared just to give them an opportunity, you know, in these Bundesliga teams. And I think we should take note from Germany, because, you know, they've had kids, you know, throughout the academy. They've come through the reserves. They've played in, you know, a lot of top Bundesliga teams, and now they're playing in the German national team. You look at some of them and you think, wow, you know, he's played for such and such a club. You know, we could take inspiration from buying maybe Mikel Merino from. I think a rule has to come in at some point, because you don't. It's not just a Newcastle thing. You look at England right now; they can only pick 33% of players, and you've seen it recently, full of kids being called up. Yes, it's great that the kids are getting called up, but other quality, not for me. They're not going to take England to the next level. But the only way you can do it as blood youngsters, and I think that's great that Southgate's trying to do that. But there's a problem that, and not just Newcastle, it's across the whole of the board, and the investment needs to be chucked back in. And I think, yes, the talent of England, you might say under 17s, under 20s and so on, under 90s have done really well, but they need to be blooded. If these kids are just hanging around winning World Cups, like Freddie Woodman at our place, needs games. He's a World Cup winner. He needs to be either loaned out in January or pushing on to be first choice. And next season, if he's not pushing on to be first choice, challenging Rob Elliott, he's leaving the club. Yeah.
Personally, I'd like to see him push on. I think he's a great goalkeeper. I don't see why he can't challenge. You know, I just think he's a good player, and also the likes of Dan Barley's in that as well. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, looking at Freddie Woodman, he's clearly said he's frustrated. You know, he wanted to go out on loan originally in the summer to get first team experience, and I've said it time and time again. He needs to go to a higher end championship club where he's going to get that competition. Even if he doesn't manage to get a top 6 championship club, maybe a team in the middle part of the championship, you know, where he's going to get regular games, you know, and don't be scared to go and express yourself, and that's what you should be doing as a keeper. That's what he wants to do. You know, he's won the World Cup for England, and I think what you need,
Adam Armstrong won the World Cup.
You know, and Adam Armstrong, you know, you look at other players, you know, that have left the club because they need to be playing games, and I think for someone like Freddie Woodman, I don't want it to be another Fraser Forster where, you know, the one that got away, because, you know, you look at or a Shearer or a Carrick. I think at the end of the day, you know, the lad's got potential. I think he could become the next big thing, but whether or not he continues to play for Newcastle in the next 3 years or whatever, that remains to be seen. But I think you're right, he needs to get another loan deal. I think January, he needs it, otherwise his future at this club is hanging by a thread.
Is that it?
No, I'll say one more thing. Question for you all then. How do we fix the problem?
Investment and facilities.
Do you think it's down to putting money back?
Yeah, because if you look likes of Man City, but then you look at Southampton as well, and they don't have.
A lot of people on Twitter, I know Twitter's quite vicious, but they're saying it's Peter Beardsley's not good enough. Would you go along with that? I wouldn't want him out of the club personally. I want him still there.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
But I think he needs a lot of help as well.
He needs guidance, whether it's bringing in more coaches or something.
Rafa just comes in once a week and for a couple of hours, you know.
I mean, I think Rafa's kind of telling what to do, because if you look at like the formations of that,
it's exactly
parallel. I was just about to say that the issue might be, will it be the formation, because again they like to play the same formation, you know, with the one up front.
Then again though, if a youth player does come through, you just slot straight in. You know what I mean? If it's 4-2-3-1, if Dan Barley comes in and he just goes straight into centre midfield.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is, I think it's share investment, but you've got to keep your identity. You know, Peter Beardsley is the heart and soul of this football club. You know, he's been there. You've got to keep him. I think, you know, he can only work with what he's got. At the end of the day, he's not the one that crosses that white line. Once they cross that white line, they've got to give it 110% maximum. And if they're not good enough, they won't get into the team. That's how it should be. Rafa's the same. He's brutal. You know, once you cross that white line, you give everything for the club. If you're not good enough, you won't get chosen. Simple as that. And I think if they're not good enough, well, that's it, isn't it? That time's pretty much up. But again, investment is a massive thing, but at the same time, you've got to keep the identity of the football club and just see where it goes from here. But something has to change.
Anything else? Right, so thanks for watching, and we shall see you in the next video.